So today's topic is probability, and this is kind of introductory video where I'm going to make you familiar with probability. I'm going to give you some examples which you are already familiar with so that you can relate this. This word probability is very useful and it has a many application, not just application. We use these things, probability, on daily basis. Means, okay, let me give you example so that it would be more clear. So basically, probability is a branch of mathematics which deals with uncertainty and the likelihood of events occurring. Now you must be thinking that what is uncertainty, what is likelihood, what is events, what is all this. So let me make you clear. See, what is all these things? So I'm assuming that you all are already familiar with cricket match, right? So in cricket match, we all know there are two teams with 11 players each, and in each team we have one captain. Okay. Now, in the beginning of the match, we generally don't know which team is going to play what. Like, let's say which team is going to bat and which team is going to bowl. We don't know. How do they decide this? Can you tell me? So, as you already, I'm assuming that you already know that they flip a coin, right? And captains choose one side of the coin. So, when you flip a coin, just remember this, when you flip a coin, you don't know what you are going to get. So let me draw a coin for you so that it would be clear. See, let's say this is a coin with two faces, right? Let's say on one face you have head, on other face you have tail. These are the only two options. There are two teams, two options. So what they do, when you flip a coin, we don't know whether we are going to get a head or a tail, right? Until we got that coin back. Now tell me, what is the possibility of getting a head? Can you tell me? It is 50%, right? Similarly, what is the possibility of getting a tail? It is again 50%. That is why this is a fair thing. So, two teams, who is going to win, they decide based on flipping a coin, because that is an uncertain event, because until we get that coin back we don't know whether it is a head or tail. So that is called uncertainty. Until we know the result, there is an uncertainty. And what is likelihood? Let's say one team has chooses that head. If coin coin will land on head, that will win. So likelihood of head. So these kind of things deals under, means these type of things deal by probability. And again, it is a branch of mathematics, but very useful. And here, as you can see, it has plenty of application, including statistics, machine learning, and decision making. Decision making example I have already given you. And probability concepts are fundamental to logical reasoning also. Okay, let's see what next. So probability, the chance, what is probability? Basically, the chance that an uncertain event will occur. As I told you, in the example of flipping a coin, we will take that example as our base example. Okay, so I will try to relate everything to flipping a coin wala example. So the chance that an uncertain event will occur. So getting a head and tail, both are uncertain, right? Until you know the result. So probability is the chance. As we have seen in the previous slide. What are the chances to get head? It is 50% chance and 50% the chances of getting a tail. But probability is a number lies between 0 and 1. Now let me draw your coin again. So let's say this face is for head and this face is for tail. Now you know that this is getting a head is again 50% chances and getting a tail is again 50% chances. But probability is the chance and the number lies between 0 to 1. What probability you will give for heads? It is half. So there are half possibility that you are going to get a head, and similarly, you have 1 by 2 chance to get a tail in that particular action. Now, what is mean by impossible event? Now, we are going through the terminology we generally use in this branch. Impossible event, as you can sense, that is not going to happen, means that is something which is not going to happen. Again, I'm going to take the same example, flipping a coin. Is it possible you flip a coin and you will not get anything, either neither head nor tail? It is not possible, na? So this kind of impossible events has probability 0. We generally denote probability by P. P of impossible event is always 0. And similarly, certain events is like, which is certain to that it is going to happen. That we call as certain event. There is no uncertainty. So, and probability of certain events is always 1. Right? So again, I'm going to take the same example, flipping a coin. In this case, what is certain? You don't know whether you are going to get a head or tail, but certainly you are going to get at least one, either head or tail. That is for sure. So that is called certain event. Okay, let's move forward. Now again, terminology. What is experiment? An action or process that generates a set of results that we call as experiment. Again, I will take the same example. What is experiment? When you flip a coin to decide something, that action is called experiment. So here experiment is flipping a coin. So action or process that generates a set of results. So if you flip a coin, what are the results you can expect? Head or tail. Similarly, let's say you are playing Ludo. Okay. And in Ludo, what is the logic? You throw a dice, right? Six face die. And that action, when you throw a die, is called experiment. I hope that is clear. Now, next terminology is outcome. What is outcome? So, a possible result of an experiment is called outcome. For example, if you take coin, so there are two possibilities, right? Heads or tails. They are called outcome. This is an outcome. This is again an outcome. So getting a head in a coin toss is an outcome. This is an example of outcome. Now, next terminology is what is sample space? We generally denote it by S. So, a set of all possible outcomes of an experiment is called sample space. For example, again, I will start with flipping a coin. When you flip a coin, what all possible results you can expect? Head and tail, right? So if you put head and tail together in a set, that set is known as sample space. We denote it by capital letter. Okay, sample space. We denote it by capital letter S. Similarly, I give you one more example. Let's say you are playing Ludo. When you play Ludo and you are throwing a dice, what all you can expect? When we throw a die, we can expect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Anything is possible, right? Now you put all these possibilities together. That is called sample space of that particular experiment. So given an experiment, now you put all outcomes together, right? That is called sample space. I hope that is clear. Now, what is event? Next terminology. A subset of a sample space is called event. Now, you are already familiar with what is sample space. Now, pick a subset. Let's say, let me consider this as sample space. S is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, getting what let me give you this example. Getting an even number when rolling a die is an event. So I hope you already know what is mean by even number. The numbers which are divisible by 2, right? So in the set of 1 to 6 numbers, how many numbers are even? Whether 1 is even? No. 2 is even? Oh, absolutely yes. Then 3? No. 4? Yes. 5? No. 6? Yes. So we denote even generally by the letter capital E. So pick all even number 2, 4, 6. That is an event. This event thing will be more clear when we go through some problems. And again, in the case of flipping a coin, what could be an event? Event could be an H, or event could be, let me call this as event 1, this as event 2, a tail, right? Because both are H and T, both are the subset of S. E is a subset of S. Sorry, E1 is a subset of S, as well as E2 is a subset of S. So that is called event. Now, here is the formula for probability. As I told you, probability is denoted by this letter, P of an event, P of E. As I told you, event we generally denote by capital E is equal to number of favorable outcomes divided by number of total outcomes. Okay, we generally denoted by this bar E, bar S. Again, let me take one example. Let's say you are flipping a coin. What is S sample space? It is H or T, right? When you flip a coin, possible outcomes are head or tail. Let me put them together in a sample space. Now, let me take E as head. Okay, this is an event. Now, what is the probability of getting a head? What are the favorable outcome? How many times you can get head? Tell me, how many times you can get head when you flip a coin? Only one, no? Only once. Now, how many total outcomes you can expect from that experiment? Two, because it could be H or T. So, plain simple formula for probability is number of favorable outcomes divided by number of total outcomes. So, number of elements in the set E divided by number of elements in the set S. We have already discussed what is E, what is S. S is the sample space. Put all possible outcomes together in S. Okay, so here I have written already P of E is the probability of an event E occurring. This bar E is the number of outcomes favorable to event E. S is the total number of outcomes in the sample space S. Again, these things will be clear when we move forward. Next. So, consider some examples. So first example is when randomly selecting a day from the year 2025, what is the probability that that day will lie is in January? Now tell me. So here event is you are interested in a day that lie in January. So how many ways means how many possibilities you have that a day you are picking from 2025 lies in January. So now 2025 we are talking about now, and we are talking about days. So first tell me how many days a year have. Total days are 365 in 2025. Now you are picking just one day out of 365. Now, we are interested in that this one day is in 10. How many days are in January? January has 31st days, right? Now tell me, favorable events are 31. Total events are 365 because in 2025 you have altogether 365 days and favorable is 31 because out of 31 any day you pick that day will lie in January. Got it? What is mean by favorable event to the one you are interested in? You are interested in, you have picked one day and you are interested in that that particular day should lie in January. How many days are there in January? 31. So favorable are 31 and total are 365. So this is the probability. Favorable divided by total. Let's see next example. What is the probability of drawing a red card from a standard deck of 52 cards? Now, in a deck of cards, you know that total cards you have is 52. So in out of those 52 cards, 50% of the cards are red, 50% of the cards are black. That is the rule. So now you are drawing one red card. So first thing is we are going to pick one card out of, let me erase these things first. Oh, I cannot, I can erase. So first thing is you are drawing one card, right? Out of 52. And you are interested in which event you are interested in? You are interested that one particular card you are picking now, that should be red. Now tell me how many total red cards. So red cards you have are 26. Total cards, total cards in a deck is 52. Now, as you can see, favorable is 26 and total is 52. So probability is number of favorable outcomes divided by number of total outcomes. So it is 52. Total number of cards are 52. We are picking one and that should be red. Uska, how many red cards are there? 26. So 26 में से if you pick one, then that would be your favorable event. So 1 by 2 is your final answer. Let's see one more example. One more problem and rather example. So here we are taking example of rolling a die. Let's say you are playing cricket. We have already seen that sample space will have 6 outcomes, 1, 2, 3 up to 6 because you can have anything out of these numbers. And event is, let's say, let me read the question first. If a die is rolled, what is the probability of getting an even number? Tell me. So you have rolled a die. Generally, we are interested, we always be interested in 6. We generally want to get 6, right? But here the problem is, what is the probability of getting an even number? So we already know that out of these 6, even numbers are 2, 4, and 6, right? These are the 3 numbers which are even. Now, I hope you got the answer. So favorable events are 1, 2, 3. So that is your E. Now, total S has how many elements? 1, 2, till 6. That means 6 elements. Now, probability of P of E is number of elements in E divided by total number of elements. That is 3 by 6. That means 1 by 2. Right? So basically, how many favorable are there? 2, 4, 6, 3. And how many totals are there? 6. So 3 by 6. Now, these are some standard terminology we are going to use during like during problem solving. So this is something from set theory. So first thing is union. Let's say E and F are two sets. So E union F, we read it as E union F, represents the event that either E or F or both occur. In the Venn diagram, we denote the event by this shaded region. Let me take one example. Let's say E is a set which has 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, this is a set. Let me take F as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, what would be your E union F in this case? Oh, sorry. So this would be either E or F or both. Means everything combined. Here you can see na in the shaded region. So try to scale this shaded thing over this set. So everything together. So E union F would be having 1 because 1 is sitting in E. as well as F. 2, again 2 is sitting in E as well as in F. 3, why 3? Because 3 is sitting in F. 4, because 4 is sitting in F. 5, because it is in F. 6, because it is in E. And 7. So that is called union. Everything including F, E, and in between, which are in both. That is E union, F union. We call it either E or F or both occur. Next, intersection. So we denote it by E intersection F, and that is how we read it. E intersection F. Again, E and F are two events. So E intersection F is again an event that include both E as well as F. So let me take previous example of E and F. Here you can see, no? So what would be your E intersection F? Tell me. So E intersection F is common thing. Here you can see, na, in the Venn diagram. So common thing. This region is the one which lies in E as well as in F. So E intersection F would be the elements which sits in both the sets. So here we can see that 1 and 2 are the only elements which are in E as well as in F. So let me write over here also. So E intersection F is 1, 2. And what is that event? This event is event E and F. So here the difference is, here it was E or F. And intersection means E and F. Both is happening together. We'll see problems so that it would be clear. Next is complement. It is also very important. Complement is generally denoted by E C, represents the event that E does not occur. Let me take one example. Rolling a die. So when you roll a die, the total possible outcomes are numbers from 1 to 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? These are the total outcomes. Let's say E is even number. Let's say you are interested only in even number. What would be your E? E would be 2, 4, and 6, right? 2, 4, 6 are the only even number in this set. Now, what would be your E complement? E complements are, see, represent the event that E does not occur. So, those which are not in E. So, outside E. So, what all outcomes it will include? It will include 1, 3, and 5. So, basically, E complement is the outcome opposite, which is not in E. See, E was even number. So take odd number. Odd numbers will be in outside E, like in the complement of E. Now, empty set. Empty set is a event which has no outcome. That is empty set. Now, all kind of events. Now we will see what all kinds of events are there, because that is also very important. That is important to know in which kind of event, how to compute probability. So first, I'm going to tell you mutually exclusive events. What is mutually exclusive events? So again, since events is written, so we are talking about two events, okay? So events that cannot occur simultaneously. Again, I'm going to take my favorite example. In probability, generally, we take this tossing a coin or throwing a dice type example. So, when you throw a coin, when you flip a coin, you know that possible outcomes is head or tail. But can you expect that head and tail, can you expect that both are coming together? Not possible, no? So, head and tail are mutually exclusive events. So, events that cannot occur simultaneously is called mutually exclusive event. Let's take one problem based on mutually exclusive event. A coin is tossed. That means you have flipped a coin. What is the probability of getting either a head or a tail? See, or is there. You can see that. We have already seen, right? So sample space is again head or tail. These are the only possibilities. Events are head or tail. That I have denoted by capital A and capital B. Now, what is the probability of getting? Probability of getting either head or tail, right? That is nothing but probability of A union B. And probability of A union B is probability of A, probability of B when events are mutually exclusive. Because A and B cannot happen simultaneously. So that is why probability of A union B is probability of A, probability of B. And what is probability of A? What is the probability of getting head? It is 1 by 2. Favorable event divided by total event. Similarly, probability of getting a tail when you flip a coin, it is 1 upon 2. Because getting a tail is again your favorable event. So that can happen only once and total is 2. So 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 and the final answer is 1. So remember, when two events cannot happen together, probability of happening either of them is probability of first event plus probability of second event. That is the rule when you are dealing with mutually exclusive events. Next is exhaustive events. What is exhaustive events? Again, we are talking about 2 or 3 events. A set of events is exhaustive if it includes all possible outcomes of an experiment. Okay. So let's say E1, E2, E3 are some events. And when you take them together, E1, E2, E3, everything together, if you put that inside a set, that set becomes your sample space. If that is the case, we call these events as exhaustive events because it all these events has exhausted your complete set of outcomes like sample space. Example, for rolling a die, when you roll a die, let us consider two events. First event is even number. Second event as odd number. That is the only possibility, right? You can divide six numbers into even and odd. And if you do that, you will exhaust full sample space. So, even number means even will have 2, 4, and 6, right? Odd number means E2 will have 1, 3, and 5. Now, what is S? S is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you take E1 union E2. You can see that E1 union E2 is complete set S. That is why E1 and E2 are exhaustive events because together they are forming complete S. One more thing. What is the probability of E1 union E2? Again, you can see that E1 and E2, if you see them together, they cannot happen simultaneously. When you throw a die, either you will get an even number or, or an odd number, right? Either you will get even or odd. So they are mutually exclusive. So that is why probability of E1 union E2 is probability of E1 plus probability of E2. What is the probability of even? Number of elements in E1 divided by total number in the sample space. Number of elements in E2 divided by total number in the sample space. And that is 3 by 6, 3 by 6. And that is nothing but 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2. That is equal to 1. Okay. I hope that is clear. Exhaustive means all together. If you put all events together, that should make your sample space. That is called exhaustive event. Let's see next. Next is independent event. What is independent event? So two events are independent if the occurrence of one does not affect the probability or occurrence of the other. So independent means happening of first event does not affect the occurrence of the second event. Again, let's take one example. Toss two coins. This time we are tossing two coins. Take two coins and toss them or flip them. So again, in both the coins, the total possibility of first coin is head or tail. Similarly, in the second coin also, you will get either head or tail. Now, can you tell me, in the first coin, if you get heads, is there any chance that in the second, whether that can control the occurrence of second coin ka outcome? What I'm trying to say is that is completely independent. Whether in first coin you get heads or tail, again, you cannot guess the occurrence of second coin. Second coin again completely independent. You can have either head or tail. It does not depend the occurrence of, it does not depend what you got already. Okay. So in this case, what would be your sample space? See, here you have coin 1. So let me call coin 1 and coin 2. You have two coins. Now from coin 1, you have two possibilities, head and tail. Similarly, in coin 2, you have two possibilities, head and tail. They are completely independent, right? Now tell me, what all possible outcomes are possible? So whether you can have H in the first go, H, but again in the second go, you can have H or you can have tail, right? With H, you can have in the second coin H or tail. Similarly, in the first coin, you may land on tail, but again in the second coin, you may land on head, or in both cases, you may get tail. So this would be your sample space. What is the experiment here? You are flipping two coins together. That is the experiment. What is your sample space? This is your sample space. Now, what is the problem? Let's see. Two coins are tossed. What is the probability of getting two heads? What is the probability of getting two heads? That means E, you are considering as H, H. This is the only event when you have two head. Otherwise, head, tail, tail, head, tail, tail, right? So this is your sample space. This is your favorable. This is the event you are interested in. How many elements are there? Only one. This thing, HH, you can have only once in this experiment. So probability of E is 1 upon 4. Why 4? Because here you have 4 possible outcomes. I hope this is clear, right? And they are independent event. Independent in the sense occurrence of first does not affect occurrence of the second event. Now last, dependent events. Obviously, the events which depends on each other is called dependent event. For example, we will go through this example later, but let me give you some practical example. Tell me one thing. What is the probability of rain tomorrow? Can you tell me what is the probability or what are the chances of having rain together, rain tomorrow? Now you will think, or you may go out and see the clouds, whether there are clouds or there are stars. So based on that, you are going to tell me that if there are stars, you will say, no, no, there are very few chance that tomorrow will rain. And if you see clouds in the sky, you will see, yeah, there may be some chance that tomorrow may rain, right? So raining and today's weather, they are dependent events, right? Because otherwise you cannot predict whether tomorrow it is a rain. Otherwise, it is a 50-50 chance. You will say it may or may not, right? But if you want to be a bit precise, you will go out, you will see at the sky, and then you will predict something. So these are kind of dependent events, means today's weather and tomorrow's weather are dependent. That is a practical example so that you can relate. Like in the previous case, na, flipping two coins. First ka outcome does not affect second ka outcome. So they are independent. Now let's say, what is the example in the slide? Drawing cards from a deck without replacement. That is your experiment. What you are doing? You are picking cards from the deck of card and you are not keeping them back. So you have picked a card, you will keep that here, and then you will pick other card. Huh? That is how we are doing. So if the first card drawn is king, the probability of drawing another king chances changes, since there are now only 3 kings left in the remaining 51 card. As I told you, in the deck of cards, let's say they are cards, we have total 52 cards, right? In these 52 cards, you have 4 kings. Hmm? And now, let's say when you are picking a card, that card you picked is a king. Now, you keep that king wala card here. Now, you are left with 51 cards. 51 cards are left in your deck. Now, you pick one more card. Pick a card. One more thing, you know that now in this 52 cards, you only have 3 kings. So, if the second card you pick is a king card, that will affect because you have already picked one king. So, there are only 3 kings here. So this example, we will come back to this example later when I tell you what is mean by conditional probability and what is mean by this sign. We will go later, but that is called dependent events. Okay. Now let me revise what all we have done. Example, tossing a coin. That was the first example. From here we have started the lecture. So sample spaces, all possible outcome you put together, head and tail. That is your sample space, we denoted by S. Now probability of getting head, P of head, we denote probability by P, and inside this bracket we generally write the event we are interested in. So out in this experiment we are interested in getting head. How many times you can get head? Only one. See here, basically your E is head. How many heads are there? 1. Total number of outcomes, head and tail, that is 2. So probability of getting head is 1 by 2. Similarly, probability of getting a tail is 1 by 2 because one tail and total outcomes are 2. Now, second example I gave you, Ludo wala example. So sample space would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because these are the total outcomes you can expect when you throw a dice. What is the probability of getting a 4? So basically you are interested in when your E is 4. How many times you can get 4? When you throw a dice, only once, no? So 1 upon total outcomes, 6. Out of 6, 4 is just 1. So favorable outcome is 1 and total is 6. So probability is 1 upon 6. Now in the same experiment, let me ask you next question. Next question is probability of getting an even number. So even number means E is 2, 4 and 6, right? These are the even numbers. How many numbers are there? 3. So 3 are the favorable outcomes and total numbers are 6. 6 are the total outcomes. So 3 by 6. So probability would be 1 upon 2. Now drawing a card from a deck. So sample space for a standard deck 52 card is all 52 card. As I told you, in the deck you have 52 cards. Now probability of drawing a king. As we discussed already, out of these 52 cards, we have 4 kings, right? So 4 is your favorable outcome divided by 52 because total cards you have is 52. So basically probability would be 4 divided by 52. That will come out to be 1 upon 13. Now probability of drawing a red card. As I told you, out of 52 card, you have 26 red card and 26 black cards. So what is the probability you pick a card that is red? 26 is your favorable outcome and total outcomes are 52. So 26 divided by 52, that will come out to be 1 by 2. And that's all for today's lecture. And in the next lecture onwards, we will solve some problems which are already there in previous year's questions based on probabilities. So all the concept we have covered here, we are going to use in subsequent videos. I hope you enjoyed the video.